Yo, hey, what's going on everybody? Alex with you here again as usual. Thanks for dropping by for yet another chess video. I'd like to share with you guys today briefly a purchase that I made off of House of Staunton. I purchased this chess set here. It's the Knight Templar series triple weighted plastic 3.75 king chess set that only retailed for, I believe, $19.95, so $20. It is manufactured or made by a company called Gold Knight Chess Set. We've seen these same boxes, I think, several times already. I was able to just show you by example. I have another box, same way. This was the Woodtech Zagreb chess set that I've done a video to probably maybe half a year ago or so. The box itself is really sturdy. It's got this sort of laminate feel. Effectively, if you're buying this chess set and you don't necessarily want to buy a storage box, or you may have a storage box but it's being used by your other pieces, or maybe you don't necessarily want to purchase some kind of a carrying case or a storage bag, you can use this box to keep your chess pieces in here, which is going to do really well. And if you put a box like this somewhere on the shelf or on your table, it's just got a really nice presentation. It looks really quite nice. Board size that they're recommending for this particular chess set is going to be 2.25 inch. This isn't the cheapest plastic chess set that we've seen, but it's definitely in a budget-friendly category, so it's going to be appealing to quite a few people out there. This is how it came shipped. Came in these two plastic bags. So we're gonna go ahead and open them up and take a look. So we've got these two bags that came with this particular chess set. You have the glossy black versus this sort of beige like cream, maybe light cream light. So we've seen in some chess sets where we'll get this sort of a blanch white. But in this case, I think that it's a really nice mix of the two different colors. It's a nice sort of a neutral feel. The very first thing we'll go ahead and do and get out of the way is the weight of these particular chess pieces. The king weighs at 48 grams, queen at 29, bishop at 25, knight 29, rook at 26, pawn at 23. Wow, that's a heavy pawn. So this chess set's not super heavy. It's triple weighted, but the pawns are like, and you can actually feel the pawns definitely have a little bit more weight. The reason for that extra bit of weight, I'll show you guys here in just a second, is the way that this particular chess set's designed is kind of different from many of the other chess sets. We'll take a look here closely, but if you guys can see right now, as I'm tilting this queen, we usually have chess sets, whether they're wooden or plastic, and at this, see this like little ring right here? There's nothing usually beyond that except a flat surface, and in this case it's got this sort of an extra little bit. That's what kind of attracted me to this particular chess set, just because it seemed like it was unusual or different from other chess sets. It's got this sort of extra little, I guess, elevation, and when it sits on the table like that, when you're looking at it from my angle, it almost feels like these chess pieces are kind of floating up in the air, because unless you're looking at a very horizontal angle this way, when you're looking at it like an angle that you would look at it from like playing your game, yeah, it does kind of feel like these chess pieces are sort of above. They're like suspended above your board a little bit. And I feel like the reason why the pawns are just a bit heavier is because they managed to utilize this extra little bit of space to put a heavier weight in there. Because plastic is not really heavy on its own. Most of where the weight comes from in these plastic chess pieces are going to be within the actual extra weight that they add in there. So as far as the dark pieces, 48 for the dark king, queen at 29, bishop, I'm assuming, is at 25, just like the other one. So knight and bishop, this is 29 for the knight. The knight and the queen weigh the same. 26 for the rook and 23 for the pawn. So we would, most of the time when it comes to plastic chess sets, we actually will have identical, if not super similar, weights between the light and the dark pieces, because the plastic is all made the same. It's kind of the same consistency and properties, whereas a lot of times wood will actually have different densities if wood, for example, is made like ebony, genuine ebony versus boxwood, genuine ebony may weight a little bit differently. A little bit of a closer look here. This is the thing that I was sort of trying to show you guys from afar, is that this little bit of extra thing down here, this little tiny, I guess not so tiny, but definitely there. Most of the chess pieces that we see, this line right here is the most bottom line, and then after that we get the felt. But in this case, it's almost like these chess pieces are kind of lifted. In fact, they are, because when you look at them from top, you don't actually see it. So beyond a certain angle, all you see really is this here. But then, so yeah, there's going to be a little bit of extra, which is kind of interesting. The design of this particular chess set's also a little bit different. We see at the top we have this sort of a symmetrical cross-like finial here with a little bubble here at the top after the finial. And then we have the slope down situation with the top, but instead of having a rounded edge and going straight down, we have this sort of inverse curve here. And we've seen this with some of the more luxury chess sets that I've shown you guys before. But and then we have a couple of lines here. Let's take a look. We got one line right here. We got a second line. We got a third line, fourth, fifth line. So quite a few different rings here before it sort of transcends into the body of the piece. Here is a very elongated body with a couple of rings here on the bottom. Overall, and then we have what I would call the base, but the base here is a little bit longer, I guess. But overall, the pieces are kind of unique looking in a sense. Now we do, as I'm turning this, you see right there, you do see the line. It's not very big, and the only reason why you guys are able to see it the way that we see it right now is, first of all, on the light king, if I'm turning it, you will see it right there, but it's not that prominent. They did a pretty good job, in my opinion, in hiding these lines. Some of the chess sets that we see, the lines are a lot more there, a lot more visible. When you're actually running your finger against this part, you don't really feel it. I mean, you feel it a little bit, but it could have been a lot worse. Based on their weight, they're not super light, but also because of the fact that they are so tall, the kings here, they will have just a little bit of a wobble. It doesn't actually make any difference during the actual gameplay, so moving them around and everything is going to be perfect. Now, on the bottom, we do have felt. That's sort of a medium grade felt. It's not the super dark, luscious felt, but it's also going to be a little bit better than some of the sticky paper felt that we've seen with some of the other chess sets. So yeah, not bad. These are going to be our queens. All queens, more or less. If you see that there's a tilt, I think it's my table is tilted a little bit, or maybe the board that sits on the table is tilted, so I do apologize for that. But yep. So these queens also kind of look nice. There's also going to be a little bit of this sort of an interesting sort of an angular design here that we see. On the very top, we have the little ball that we usually see. Now this part right here between where the ball sits and also the circular area tends to be quite different in a lot of different chess sets, as we've seen before. In this case, it's quite protruded upwards, as you see. It goes up quite a bit above this crown portion. And then if we look at it from the top view, this is what it looks like. So we got this really nice, elegant design with regards to the spikes and how they're sort of facing upwards in this almost like a flower fashion, or you can maybe call it like it looks like a cup on the top. So then after the spikes, we have this nice convergence into these rings here. I think it's a similar amount of rings that we've seen with the king. Yep, similar design. And that's good to see. And then very similar, if not identical, design past this point towards the bottom here. We have pretty much very, very similar design. So a nice, unique, nice, aesthetic looking queen. Bishop is also, if we look at it from the very bottom, very much similar. We've got this little tiny bottom portion here with the ring, and then it comes up into this ring thing here with a couple of rings on top. And on the very top, we have a very symmetrical, nice, not a teardrop shape, but more of what we expect with a regular bishop, with a nice medium-sized cut and a tiny little ball on top. So good size difference between these pieces. As we can see, we got a good difference between the queen height and the bishop height. So sometimes we'll see chess sets that are like sitting like this up close to where the bishop is very, very close to the height of the queen. And that sometimes people don't like to see that, but here we have a really nice stepwise transition. This chess set is called the Knight Templar series. So the knight itself is not super unusual, but a little bit unique looking in the fact that it's got this sort of a downward facing fierce face with this bottom part right underneath here. And then we have these ears that kind of look back at this angle, almost like looks like wind swept knight, like a racehorse or something. Very, very fierce looking. The mouth isn't open, but you can definitely make out the fact that there is a mouth. All the additional lines here, especially on a glossy chess set like this, you will definitely be able to see the reflection as you're playing of all these depressions and elevations around the face, the neck especially. As you see, there's some areas in the neck that we can see right here. Give this knight a little more detail. There's this extra little depression that goes down on the side that we don't usually see with some of these knights. And then the mane is nicely incorporated right in between. It kind of goes right in between the ears there. So not too extravagant, but extravagant enough for us to have sort of a variety away from like the German knights and things like that. And now we have the rook. This particular chess set adheres to the same design quite well. And then we have a couple of rings here on the top. This part's sort of a medium height. We've seen smaller, we've seen bigger. The cuts on the top are very nice, and there is some degree of depth here. Not too much, but it's not super shallow. As you can see, we are still having a nice transition and height here between all the pieces. The pawn is heavy. It's 23 grams, so that's pretty heavy. And like I said before, probably because they're able to fill in with a larger piece of weight because of this extra bit on the bottom. And yeah, very good. This ring here slopes down a little bit, and then from the bottom it's sort of this concave up. So it's got this sort of like a mushroom shape a little bit. And we have this extra ring here after that initial ring, and then we have a couple of rings here. So enough detail for sure. Usually they'll say a good proportion of the height of the pawn to the height of the king is that if we put two pawns on top of each other, they should usually be about or approximate to the size of the king here. We don't see too much of a deviation. It's a little bit, but not to the degree where, you know, if the pawns were like this high compared to the king, then I would say the pawns are a bit too tall. Not what people are usually used to, but in this case we have a good approximation to what we would expect. So all fully set up here, we can see what this chess set will more or less look like. In this case, this board kind of tries to simulate what the feel of a tournament board, but there's going to be a lot of people out there that will probably purchase this chess set together with some kind of a mousepad board, so they'll probably get a similar sort of a green and light feel. But overall, not bad. A very good chess set, in my opinion. It's nice and stable. I would, at first, before I considered purchasing this chess set, I thought, Well, the extra bases might make this particular chess set feel a little bit, you know, and a little bit unstable. But I think that they're really nice. The extra bit of weight that's inside of them keeps these chess pieces well balanced and grounded. And in my opinion, it's a really good option, I feel like, for anybody out there that's just looking to maybe either just get a simple chess set for their tournament needs or going to the club or something like that. Or maybe they're wanting to purchase a second chess set where they already have a really nice chess set. They take places. They might want to get one for analysis purposes. I know for analysis purposes, this is a little bit of a too big of a chess set. But yeah, I think it's still a really good option for anybody that, you know, that might be looking for something different, because a lot of these chess sets we've seen before are all kind of very similar looking, very similar Staunton. And in this case, it's going to be a little bit more unique looking. So I think that this might definitely be an option for some people out there that are wanting something different. I think that the chess set that I reviewed also from the Gold Knight Chess Set Company, the Woodtech Zagreb, was retailing for close to maybe $50 or $60. And we've seen this before. I can briefly kind of show it to you guys. This was the Woodtech, or in this case, I think it's still kind of plastic. It's just made to look more like wood, with maybe slightly different processing design. But if you're interested in watching that video, I can put a link below for you guys to take a look at that one. But yeah, I think it's a really nice chess set. In my opinion, I think that more chess sets should be within a budget-friendly sort of price range. Like this particular chess set, for $20, it's reasonably priced, and it handles really well too. It feels like they've made a chess set really without any major flaws, as we would probably want. We want a reasonably priced chess set that is going to feel good and will allow you many years of playing your chess games on, you know, without breaking the bank. So what do you guys think about this particular chess set? Do you find it to be aesthetically pleasing? Do you think that this is a good choice for some people? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next video, okay? Bye-bye.